Hi guys, we wanted to welcome you to Under the Influence. My name is Rish Kali-Chalbam.
And I'm Amy Marietta, and today we are going to be interviewing Becca, who is Director of Talent at Socialyte, one of the biggest influencer agencies in the US. They have talent and brands that they work with, ranging from Cartier to W Hotels to Bentley and many, many more. Welcome, Becca. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me today.
Yes.
Excited. Cheers.
What's up? So, first off, I'm gonna have some questions. What's your favorite thing about working in the influencer content creator industry, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I think what I love the most about this space is that it's changing every day. More than any other talent field I've worked in, you guys are constantly having to change to if there's a new feature on Instagram or if there's a new social media platform.
Yeah.
And what I love about being at Socialyte is our president is constantly wanting to be ahead of those things and not responding to them. So we always, anytime there's a new feature, we're all discussing like, okay, how do we price this differently for influencers? How is this going to change the space? So I just feel like it's always keeping me on my toes, and that's what I love the most about it. I love it how I got started was I was originally at IMG under the Wall Group, so I was working with hairstylists, clothing stylists, makeup artists, and what I just loved working with them mainly around red carpet season, which was when we would do the brand sponsorships. So that's just kind of, I was like, this is my favorite part of the world, not just like booking the day-to-day stuff. So I reached out to Socialyte, and that's where it all started.
How long have you been with Socialyte?
2 years, and I moved out here to kind of help open the LA office. Yeah.
What about the Instagram removing the likes thing? How have clients, I mean, it's not going to happen for a while, probably,
Right,
in
they're
the
just
US.
testing it in Canada right now. We've been discussing this so much. There's so many feelings about it. One, actually clients haven't even brought this up to us yet. We're kind of leading that discussion as we are launching our new like in-house tech platform that will track all of these analytics and data that brands won't be able to see from the surface once they remove that feature. So basically we are going to be the person they have to come to in order to understand the metrics and the analytics in order to get like the KPIs on their campaign. So we think that's going to be so much more important when selecting an influencer. They're not just going to look solely on what their page looks like. Great, I want to work with them. They're going to really look to us and want to understand what the back end kind of looks like.
For you.
Yeah, we think it will be. I think they're going to rely so much more on our opinion versus just coming to us and knowing what they want.
Do you think that they'll care more about the quality of content?
We're hoping so. We're hoping that means it's going to be a pushback to that time before when people could use a beautiful filler image of like a leaf with a shadow, and you know it was just beautiful and aesthetic, and that's like what really started this space. But we think the draw to like what impressions and metrics are is going to be really important as well. So any influencers that maybe have done anything fraudulent, it's going to be bad for them, and kind of weed out a lot of those people who were just trying to get on this bandwagon and make some money, but not necessarily in a good way. It's kind of hurting it for other people.
How do you choose your clients? Like, what do you do? What do you guys do?
So we have a pretty intense vetting process. We have like 3 benchmarks of where you could be a great candidate for Socialyte. One is having 100,000 followers plus. We kind of feel like if you're in that range, you should be working consistently. We have our outliers that are a little bit under. But those are people we really like to grow, and I would say the people that we work the best with, it's like within that 100K to 400K range following. We really rock that range. And then it's around the amount of money they're bringing in and the quality of jobs. So, you know, they might be making $100,000 a year, but if it's coming through like 17 jobs a month plus, like then we kind of get, okay, you might be taking a bunch of like $200 jobs, and that just doesn't make sense for management. We really want to be working on those larger programs for you, where we feel like, okay, this makes sense for you to pay us to do this job and take you to that next level.
Now, when they do those like small gigs, you know, especially like say the first 6 months to a year, wouldn't that just make sense for them to just get their face out there just with your brand itself?
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between just taking any job and taking the right job. So there could be a $300 job that's with a great brand, that's awesome brand alignment. You know it's going to get you kind of in the right place where people see, oh, she worked on that job, okay, she'd be great for this job.
Right.
But then just to take a job for the sake of the money. that's when we can kind of see that quality versus quantity thing line up.
What about on the other side, not the talent, but like the brands?
The brands?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, you know, we know which people are already spending a lot in the space, that have been doing this forever and really eager to work with influencers right from the start. And then we know the luxury beauty brands, the luxury, you know, fashion brands that have been so much harder to get on, and
Like
now they
Hermes.
are. Exactly.
Like they don't work with anyone, and it's so archaic.
Right. Same with, like, I've had so many calls with Cartier, and it's just
They
very,
are though, right?
Yes, they do spend. They're very, it's funny, they'll spend money, and if they don't like the content, they're fine with just saying like, oh, we don't want that to go live, but we'll still pay them.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
That's so French.
It's great for the influencers, but it's just so interesting because I've never seen that from another brand. Usually, you know, they reshoot until they get that content. Cartier is very different, and I think they're still trying to understand this space.
Okay.
And they were trying to convince a lot of people who have been, you know, working at the company for 20, 30, 40 years before Instagram even existed,
Like the
and trying
older-
to convince them, like, no, this is the
this
new
is the new
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of those brands that we're speaking to now and being like, we know you have a lot of money, so
Stop wasting it on magazine ads.
Exactly. And I think they're finally turning a curve now and understanding that.
Now, how is it with celebrities now taking to Instagram?
Yeah.
And has that ever affected, does it affect you guys in any sort of way in terms of jobs?
Right.
And the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the
Because they're like
competition.
millions.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's really hard to
You have some celebrities,
compete.
though.
Yes. So we just actually launched what we call the prestige division now. Which is
Fancy.
more of these, celebrity level talent that, you know, may have come from Bachelor Nation, or, you know, they were an actress.
Which is so ridiculous.
Yes, I know. And then they're an actress, and now, you know, maybe they're not working as much, and I probably shouldn't be saying that. Anyway, so it's very interesting because they can price so differently than our traditional influencers. So an influencer with 1 million followers who's just a traditional blogger will price less than someone who is a
On
celebrity
TV.
level
TV's
with
different.
1 million followers. Then they're doing less jobs. You know, like they want to do about 2 jobs a month max. It's really overwhelming to them to have to create a lot of content. So it's just a very different ball game. And I think brands know when they're looking for a celebrity versus when they're looking for a blogger, because they know they get a different outcome from each.
Yeah.
Thankfully, most have understood that, but I will say, you know, brands like FabFitFun, they do really well in the celeb space, and like not so much with influencers. So they really stick to that as their niche. Whereas other brands, it just doesn't make sense for them to activate with celebrities, and they really just stick with the blogger world.
Who are some of the celebs that you guys have?
Yeah, so we work with Lauren Bushnell, Amanda Stanton, who both came out of The Bachelor. We work with Kat Sadler, formerly on E! News.
Oh, I love Kat.
She's great.
Dear
She's
friend.
launching her new podcast soon
Yeah,
called
so
Naked.
good. It's actually on.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Which is really exciting. Some of her first guests are like Jennifer Lawrence and Olivia Munn,
Yeah.
which are just buzzwords, obviously.
I'm
Great.
excited.
Who else do we work with? It's always when I'm like on the spot thinking of it. But yeah, we've got some like fun names where they're
That's
all
great.
over in the space. Jana Kramer is another one. So
Yeah, that's so
yeah,
good.
very interesting.
So good. Oh, yeah. What does running a campaign look like start to finish?
So there's a few different ways to answer this question. I'm going to go from the point of if it's a multi-blogger campaign that I'm doing from the
let's do that.
start. Yeah. So a brand like Nasty Gal would come to me and say, we've got this much money. These are our KPIs that we want to get from this activation. You know, what can you do here? And that's where I'm really casting who I think would be great. And first and foremost, I'm casting from the Socialyte roster.
Yeah.
If someone's not a fit or they still need to fit more spaces, then we're going out in the space. We work with other agencies, free agents, just really anyone in the space.
Okay.
And try to find that perfect cast for the brand that they're looking for. It depends if it's an event. Sometimes I'm going as far as putting the whole thing together and actually like, you know, booking the plane and like getting the hotel.
Wow.
Exactly. Doing all of those things.
Private planes.
Which is really fun. I love doing that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's not as involved as that. And it's really just, I'm trying to prove to the brand, okay, these are the talent I think you should work with. This is why, this is the outcome you're going to hopefully get, the impressions, XYZ. So we kind of do all this predictive work. And then the brand will either say, yes, we want to move forward or not. And then once we have that all confirmed, that's when I usually send those campaign offers out to the talent, say you've been selected for this, and just kind of hope everyone says yes. The worst is when people say no and you've really convinced the brand.
Does that happen a lot?
It does, and it really throws a wrench in everything, because you're like, oh, I've convinced the brand to work with you, I've worked all my budgets around this, and like then it might not work for them for so many reasons. They might have exclusivity I was unaware of.
Oh, yeah.
They might be traveling if it's for a specific time period, or they just might not like the brand, and I didn't realize it. So then you kind of have to go back to the drawing board until you've got that final cast. Everyone's accepted their campaign offers, get that contract signed off on, and that's when we really get into the execution part and make sure we're hitting all of those strategy points that we were discussing in the beginning, whether it's talking points, it's a drawing towards, you know, a sale that's going on or what have you. And then once everything's live, we create a beautiful wrap-up report for our clients, send that over to them, say, you know, these were our key highlights and metrics from this campaign. We think it's successful because of X, Y, Z. You know, in the future, maybe we change these few things. We always like to offer that so they know we don't think every campaign's perfect. We obviously understand there's going to be some things we would have changed. Typically, my advice for them of what I want to change is something I was eager to have them change from the beginning, but they didn't want to. So that's always what I go back to is like, okay, like you wanted to do a giveaway, but I kept telling you it was too many rules.
Yeah,
And
that is
it's
such
so
a
many
thing.
rules and it doesn't work. So
Like
that's,
I'm not going to go
Has
into
it come
detail.
back to where has it come back to where you've worked with this company and then you're working with them again and they've taken your advice?
Definitely, yeah. Which is great when you see that. You're like, oh, you're going to listen to me. Awesome.
I feel
So-
like budget too is a big thing. Like if they have a lot of budget, they're not going to be as anal, but if they're like, you know, pinching pennies, then they're going to be so overly picky.
Yes, and we see that with smaller brands usually where this is a lot of their money to spend. You know, they're like, we're not used to spending $30,000.
Yeah.
So we really hope it's going to be as successful as a Revolve Coachella campaign. And you're like, they spend millions of dollars. Like, let me just explain that to you. So I think that's always the interesting part of it.
So what are some other challenges?
There's so many challenges. I would say when you're in the talent industry in general, you're working with so many personalities. So I would say that's the biggest challenge is managing that. It's not even just the talent, it's also the clients. So I might have a dream talent I'm working with, but this client is just wants to yell at me just to yell at me. So it's constantly
Like an
managing
ego
expectations, managing people's personalities, and I'm really the middleman of all of that. No matter what situation I'm in, I truly find myself as the middleman. Not every manager feels that way, and they like to put their personality in. It's fine either way. People are successful on both sides. I truly treat myself as Sweden for the most part. That's what I like to do, and I find the most successful because I find clients think I'm catering to them and talent think I'm catering to them.
Perfect, yeah.
And that's why I find that route successful.
Do you find yourself working like constantly even when you're off the clock?
Yeah.
And how does that affect your love life, personal life?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that
You handle it so well from
Thank
my
you.
point of view.
I try. I will say I learned a lot being at IMG because that was my first taste of nonstop work and just not having a personal life, really. Even, you know, going into a movie, I would have to text my boss and be like, hey, like, I'm gonna be in a movie for 2 hours on a Sunday.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm not gonna be able to answer like texts quickly. I'll check my phone every like couple minutes. What crazy I have to do that.
I know.
And I mean, I didn't check my phone and I did not get a nice message back about that. So that was tough and really a learning curve for me. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can, I'm fine, I can work all the time, but like I need to be able to shut off if I need to. Like if something's not urgent. So coming to Socialyte was amazing. I just feel like I get the work-life balance I need. I mean, I am on all the time, I'm responding to emails all the time, but I do now know how to separate. It's great being kind of the boss too. So when I know that I don't need to respond to something and it's not urgent and it can wait till Monday, I pause. My boyfriend's also in talent management and music, so he's lucky because he does it way more than he works way more than I do. So he's lucky I get it. So when he works till 11 p.m. on a Thursday, I mean, he does get my complaints occasionally where I'm like, can you just come home? But, you know, I get it, and I know what the career he's trying to build, so I'm okay with it. But it definitely is hard.
But that's another question that I wanted to ask. Is it better for us to be like our significant other to be in the same industry or some sort of way connected in some sort of way and understanding or the opposite?
I personally love it that we're in a similar industry, at least adjacent, because we both, we can compare on somewhat of a level, and understanding of our career demands. I think if he was dating anybody else, they wouldn't get it. That wasn't in this industry.
Like some of my friends, I've got some of my friends that are in the entertainment business, but their wives are, either a doctor or has a regular job. I mean, everything is just a regular job, but they love it. They feel like, at least I can go home and just
shut down. There's no email you have to look at, and that is definitely the hardest thing, but we both get it. I would say when it comes to most people our age don't really have jobs anymore where they can shut off at 5 p.m. So that is kind of nice, at least, and most of our friends are all in the same industry. I will say it's more so the adults we speak to, like our parents. The adults, we're adults. The parents we speak to who don't get it.
The older generation.
They don't get it, and they're like, why are you on, my mom always on me, why are you on your email? And I'm like, well, I'm still here, and she's like, but you're not. And I'm like, I feel very present, but okay, I get it.
I think that it's really important that as long as you're both, like you and your partner, are passionate about what you're doing. I think that's what makes such a big difference is if you enjoy the industry you're in and you're not like coming home and like so angry and like cursing about your job. Like you're like, sometimes you're going to be busy, but there's pros and cons to everything, and at least you're like living a life where you love what you're doing every day.
And I definitely feel like we have the best work-life balance I personally ever had in my work life, so it's great.
So good.
Yeah,
that's
awesome. What were you going to say?
I was at that brain freeze, but it'll come back to me.
What do you think is a common misconception of influencers? Because I have
that's
a couple.
A great question.
It's a great question. There's a lot. I would say the first one, coming mainly from the brand side, which is always disappointing, love it, is they think you guys just they think you guys sit home and drink champagne all day.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I will say, they commonly think like, why are they so busy? Like, what are they doing that they can't shoot this today and get it done?
When they like want day of. That's crazy.
And I think they don't understand you guys have almost the demands of a model to like keep up with the image is really difficult. Like you might have a day full of appointments for like hair, nails, facial, all that stuff, which sounds really superficial to most people. But that's a lot of an investment that I don't even do it for my personal self. I can't imagine having all of that time to keep up on all of those things. And then like, getting your emails. I mean, you guys don't shut down at all. And I think that's the hardest thing is we do go to an office job. Yes, I do answer emails outside of it, but I still have like the time I know I can shut down.
Yeah.
You guys wake up, you're working until you go to sleep for the most part. And I think that's why brands forget a lot. And then you can just shoot something on an iPhone. Like, why don't you just shoot it on an iPhone? You're done. Like,
say that?
There's so much production value that goes into it, and that's disappointing. I think they forget. I think they think now so many people shoot with iPhone.
Not everybody.
I know, and they forget the production quality that goes involved.
Yeah, it's such a difference. Also, I don't think that they understand a lot of influencers. I usually say content creators because I feel like there's almost a negative connotation to influencer now.
We were just talking about this at work like on Friday.
So I say content creator, but they don't understand a lot of them do other things, like they have other jobs
or businesses that they run.
Like, or they're traveling, working on something paying more,
And people think, oh, a travel job, like why wouldn't you just want to do that for free? It's work.
It's so
and I always have to explain to the brands, like, you're taking away 5 days they could be paid by another brand because they always want to get that shit for free. They're like, but they're just gonna relax. And I'm like, but they're not. I've been on trips with these girls. They don't relax. They work so hard to get the content. They shoot for hours, maybe take 8,000 pictures to get that one perfect photo.
And they don't put in the budget of the photographer. Like my boyfriend is so nice and takes so many photos for me.
Which is great.
When traveling, because I mean, you can find photographers when traveling, but it's, that's a whole other thing. You have to vet them, make sure it's not some creep,
Yeah, that's always the piece I have to educate brands on for trips especially.
I think also it's just like there's so many people on Instagram now that say they're influencers and they're not.
Right.
Because of the amount of followers that they have.
Yes.
So I think like that is the question of why brands, because they do it for free.
Yeah, I hate those
yeah.
girls. Like when everyone's like, we want equal pay. And I'm like,
Yeah.
bitch, you're posting about like tea for free and ruining it for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah,
Like, don't
so
cheapen it.
That's the tough part. And I think also on that note, just we have to do such a deep dive now into people's followings to like truly see if
Truly
they're
see.
authentic. Or what's the quality of this following? Is it in the US even?
Right.
And that's the toughest part.
Also, so I just got the blue check.
Oh, great, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so
I felt
exciting.
super legit.
Love it.
Cheers to
Cheers
the
to
blue
that.
check.
Cheers to that
I was
blue
like mad at
check.
myself for being excited. But I've noticed that my impressions have gone up so much.
That's
so I think
great.
it's part of the Instagram algorithm.
Right.
That like they show your profile to more people once you get that blue check, which is almost kind of fucked up because it's
Yeah.
like, what even did they base that off of? But it's
Yeah,
just
but
like
this
such
is-
a whole
this-
crazy.
This is my question to Instagram. How,
Dear Instagram.
Okay. How does someone that have 6,000 followers have a check mark, and then someone with
They're friends.
150,000 followers?
You get in there. You slide into those
But
DMs.
no, it's more
just
than
kidding.
that.
It's a
So-
real life slide into the DM.
I've got friends that only have, not pointing anybody out, but I've got friends that have 6,000 followers.
Do they have a Twitter following that's insane or
No.
anything? Okay, so then it's
But
probably
they
a
have
friend,
they have
a
some
connection.
Sort of, yes.
Yes, that's always it.
But
We tell our girls, go to any Instagram conference you can, any Facebook conference, because they will literally verify you on site. If you meet the person, they just do that.
I think it's also though if they have like, say like Al, he should have a check, you know?
that's what I mean, right?
So
but like again,
it's if you have a major article about you, or if you're like
Press is a big thing.
press is a big thing. That's a big factor. So that's
yes.
one thing.
Okay.
But yeah, some of it is also just knowing.
Exactly.
I would say the biggest misconception from influencers to my side of things is they think I have a direct line to Instagram.
Right.
They're like,
Well, you do to YouTube.
I
though.
don't. I barely do.
To
Okay.
YouTube.
Yeah, but YouTube I will say is great.
Yeah.
Instagram, they do not want to tell us anything. We'll like, what is the algorithm? Tell us. They don't tell us
don't wanna
anything.
tell you anything.
If I say my girl is being harassed by this person, like, that's a community problem. You just report it. Like, they don't care to help me out ever.
Wait, what?
If I say, look at all these duplicates of my influence, like this person's creating a bunch of accounts looking like my influencer, they don't care. They really don't, and that is the biggest misconception I will say from like on my side of things, and it's so tough because people don't always understand it. They're like, well, you work in this industry, like you should, and I'm like, I try. They don't want to help me. They know me. They don't want to help me.
Does some of your clients have like podcasts and stuff, things like that? Okay,
yeah.
So my question to you is this now: iTunes, Apple,
Yep.
said that they're shutting down iTunes.
Oh, I didn't even hear
What?
this. That's
Yes.
insane. I remember
They
being
said
on iTunes
that
since
they're
like day
shutting
one.
down iTunes. How is that gonna?
When did that happen?
That makes
like
sense.
literally
though.
a couple of days ago.
So they're still going to have Apple Music and probably the podcast. They're just not going to have the iTunes probably like home where
Yeah,
it
but
sits. Because I
you-
don't think there's anyone buying a 99-cent song anymore.
No.
But I think they'll still have the platforms where you can like Apple Music is very profitable for them because that's their streaming service.
Question. Like how?
They'll probably still have those services. I don't know because I haven't
Because I
read
love
anything
podcasts,
about this.
so like for me
I
to
would
like
assume
go
that.
into iTunes, that's like the easiest thing for me to do.
Yeah,
and
I
just
think
find-
the iTunes store is pretty archaic for their business model at this
Okay.
point, but they're going to use those other things.
was
I would
like-
assume, but I need to read about it.
I
I
need
don't
to
know.
read about it too because I was like,
That's
what?
very interesting.
But hey, Apple can do whatever the fuck they
It's where
want to
music
do.
is now. I mean,
You know.
streaming is the new thing. It's crazy.
Billion-dollar company. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we'll still back them up because
Oh, yeah.
I'm that girl where there's a new phone.
I want to get it.
Yeah.
I just got
Like,
my AirPods. I'm obsessed. Like
I'm
I would wear
that
them.
girl.
I sit at my desk and I'm wearing them all day, and people are like, "Are you like listening to music around a call?" I'm like, "No, but I could be."
No, I do that all the time. Podcasts. I listen to all sorts of crime podcasts. I'm
Yeah, she loves the crime.
obsessed.
She got me
great.
hooked on what was it? The the really good one we watched on HBO.
Serial.
Serial.
That was a good
Serial.
one. I remember listening to that on my drive
Serial.
back from Nashville, 14 hours.
Yeah, Serial.
Listened to it the whole way. I was obsessed. It was so good.
It's so good.
It is so good, and like, it's when it comes to podcasts, I honestly think like the voice should be so like calming, you know, because you can't have to listen to somebody and it's
And
like the
being
most
an annoying
annoying
voice,
voice, like you won't.
Like
even.
in Serial, that lawyer who's like, you can't, I can't want to do this if you don't want this on camera.
Wait, the guy lawyer?
No, it was the female lawyer
Female
who like
lawyer.
ended up dying like halfway
Yeah.
through or something. She
okay.
had the worst voice. It was like
Yeah.
nails on a chalkboard.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, she could never do a podcast.
No, never.
It's crazy, like how things become trends, like ASMR, and like mukbang or whatever, where you're just eating and like all
Yes.
these different crazy things that are like therapeutic to some people.
Yeah.
It is. And it's great that we have this platform, you know, because
So many platforms.
so many platforms now, and it's amazing to like, you know, to even think in the future when we have kids, like what is going to happen
I'd raise them
then?
in another country. The
For
US
what?
is so crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It is not crazy.
We're very lucky to live here, I
We
think.
are super lucky to live here.
Even though there's a lot of things going on that
Yeah.
are terrible, but at the end of the day, I do feel very blessed to live here and all the
100%.
opportunity we have.
Yeah, 100%. I actually think so too. There are like, I definitely would want my children to travel a lot, to understand that there's a lot more culture and basically,
understanding.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically, and have like a backbone in terms of like, just, you know, if you're a different color, if you know, you speak this language, this and this and that, it's like,
Right.
they understand that how to respond, because my husband went to Alabama.
Oh.
No,
Would not
he went
wanna
to
go there
Alabama
right now.
to shoot recently, and he said like it's insane that the things, and he went right before the abortion law.
Oh yeah.
He was like, it's insane and crazy how like
You mean right after?
right after.
I feel like it
yeah.
would feel like a different country.
Yeah. It's wild.
But it's so not, I mean, there's so many parts of this country. We live in very like,
right.
Mississippi.
yeah,
Also.
we live, like if you're in New York, LA, it's a whole
Man.
different
Whole
world
different
than
world.
what middle America's living. We just went on, I don't even know where we are in this
Sorry,
conversation.
anyways.
I love it though.
We're about to wrap this up. A couple last minute things. Do you have any advice for those out there trying
Yes.
to grow their
Yes.
social media following, and also like, you know, TikTok? I know we just worked on that.
Yeah.
Is that a more requested thing, or is it like more a younger generation?
Yeah.
Like, what's the
So going off TikTok,
Also
I've
YouTube.
seen, yes.
What is TikTok so people
I don't
can know?
I wish I
Okay,
knew.
so I'll explain it.
You
real
explain
quick.
it.
So it's these quick
I
little
feel
videos.
too old.
I felt too old doing it. It's these quick little videos that you can edit, and it's funny random shit that can go pretty viral. And it's definitely a younger crowd, and they have certain trends that go on there, like when a new song comes out.
I feel like it reminds me a lot of Vine, what Vine used
Like
to be.
Vine, but a little longer.
Yeah.
It can be up to a minute.
Right.
And Vine was only 7 seconds, 6 seconds.
Yeah,
whatever.
6, which is crazy to think now.
Crazy.
So quick.
And you could get so much comedy within that 6 seconds.
That
Yes.
ruined people's attention span. They're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You have 7
Yeah.
seconds.
Definitely.
Go. But yeah, so
I will say I'm seeing so many more requests for TikTok lately, which is insane because we don't really know. We're like,
Where?
we don't know TikTok influencers. We're trying to get our people on it, but like some of them don't feel like it's authentic to them or it's too young for them. So I will say a lot of the YouTubers are taking onto it. You know, those young YouTube Gen Zers, they're all
Yeah.
confusing to me.
so many gens.
They're getting really into that, and I'm seeing more requests from it, but I don't think, you know, a brand like Cartier, for example, is ever going to jump on that bandwagon. So it's all about what brands you associate with yourself. They might be into it or not. I don't think it's you need to jump on it,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something to explore and see if it works for you and who you are, you know, especially if video content makes sense to you, especially like comedy, any of that kind of stuff, great, go on it. I think for a true fashion blogger, it might not necessarily translate. In terms of advice, this is the hardest question always because yes, I have all the like key things you should be doing, but I know people who have been doing it for 2 years and their following's never grown.
Right.
I will say now more than ever is the best time to start an Instagram, get a huge following, and crazy engagement. It's the people who are just starting are doing so well, and it's the people who've been doing this forever where it's getting harder and
for
harder
them.
and harder. And I feel so bad seeing that because I'm like, these are some amazing content creators out here that are just not being seen, and it's so frustrating for me because I know they're doing everything right. Whether it's cross promotion with other influencers, you know, launching on all the different channels that you can, and trying every new feature that Instagram launches is like the big thing because they will want to boost your content in that sense. Shooting directly on iPhone, that's one thing that actually works for people because Instagram can track all the metadata that goes into a post, and they will not boost your content for that reason if you're using like 20 apps before you get into Instagram. So there's a lot of things like that that I like, tips like that I can give you. It just might work or it might not. Like that's
What do you think
the
about
problem.
having your own website, like, you know, your own blog if you're a fashion blogger or whatever?
I say diversify outside of Instagram as much as you can. If you rely solely on Instagram, that's just so scary to me because they could shut down tomorrow. I mean, you see this stuff where I was watching the Today Show the other day, and like the guy who co-founded Facebook was calling for like the government to shut down Facebook essentially. And I was like looking at my boyfriend, I'm like, I don't know if we can afford this apartment if they shut down Facebook because I'll be out of a job.
Well, it's because there were so many like, I think they were, what did they say? They were like
a lot of corruption
corruptions with all that stuff.
Yeah, selling data and just, you know, especially with the election when they didn't realize how many fake accounts were being created with false information, and it just really spiraled out of control. So I think that scares me when I'm like, okay, we're like riding this career solely on Instagram in this business. So we're constantly trying to figure out what is the next thing. In terms of our company, you know, we focus on with the brands, we want to offer them whatever service they need when it relates to marketing, whether it's an event, a trip, you know, anything. Yeah, exactly. That brings back to like what the like focus is of that marketing piece. So I will say as a company, we're trying to not even rely solely on Instagram. So I think it's smart for influencers to not solely focus on Instagram and being able to have these other things, whether it's another business or like a product line you sell. Just diversify as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last question.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who has influenced you?
Oh, that's a good one. And that was not on the paper. So now it was. I didn't prepare that one this morning.
You can take your time.
Who has influenced me? I mean, top of mind, I will say like Becca Alexander as a president.
She's great.
She's amazing. And it's why I've stayed at this company for so long. I just truly believe in her vision and everything that she's thought of in this space. She's so not reactionary. She's always paving that new path, and I love that about her. I think that's what an influencer is. So she is truly an influencer to the core, and I think that's amazing.
I heard about her when she started that first website.
Oh, yes.
What was it called?
Now I can't even, I'm blanking, and I followed it.
Oh, it was a huge website. Anyways.
She's going to watch this later and be like, great.
It was a huge website.
It was, and I followed it like religiously. I would look at that one, Collage Vintage, Always Judging, and Style Scrapbook. I would like those were my bookmarks, which is funny because we work with like all of those influencers now. But yeah, she really, I think, in this space, she's
Fashion
probably influenced. Fashion indie. Thank
Oh,
you.
good job.
Bless. Okay, that's what it was.
Sponsored by Champagne.
Sponsored by Champagne.
Love it. Yeah, so I think just what she's been able to do in this industry has been so inspiring to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my answer.
Awesome. Such a good answer.
That is a great answer, honestly. So thank you so much
you
Thanks
so
for having me.
for coming in
Yes.
and spending time with us today.
Of course.
And the last cheers.
Yes.
Last cheers.
cheers. With all of our lipstick champagne. Great.
Dun, dun, dun.